Yes, yes, family. Peace, power, and love unto you all. I ain't been up here in a while, man. It's been a lot that has transpired. Just to make note of, I probably won't be speaking a lot about the photon light energy and things that's being emitted from the cosmos in our benevolent half. Main reason being because they're really using us to navigate and figure out what's going on, because they have no connection to the cosmos, and they can't really forecast and project anything that's happening besides what we tell them and what we talk about. Now, with that being said, I'm gonna get into some things that they're doing that I will speak about, because they're doing it. So it's not like I'm giving them no information that they aren't aware of. First off, we must understand this is a simulation. Everything around us is designed to appeal to what we categorize as our 5-6 senses, and the way our brain perceives these things is what ultimately presents to us what we visually perceive as this reality. It's all just a simulation. And I'm gonna go over the 10 minutes, but you can jump onto my YouTube to follow up the rest of this video, because when I'm watching that time and I'm trying to confine to what I'm saying in 10 minutes, a lot of things get misconstrued and left out. So that's probably how it's going to be from here going out. Now, back to what I was saying. We must understand that this is a simulation. Everything around us, all it is a simulation. It's like a big spell we've been put up under, but I won't really call it a spell, because, this simulation was once like a training program. It was something that we used for benevolent purposes that was hacked at some point in time. And the illusions here was, how can I put it, was flipped around to perceive so appealing to us that some of us believe this is the real and the ultimate reality, when all this is a simulation of what is the real reality, where we visit in the astral and where we will return when we unalive and leave this simulation. Now, being that it's well said and we understand that this is a simulation, right? There are beings here that are a part of this simulation. They're programs, pretty much. They aren't real as well. The only parameters they exist within is this arrangement of matrices that we know as the matrix, that I namely call, and it's well known to be a simulation. The CIA, they've already admitted to this. Many quantum physicists and scientists have found this to be true as well. Now, with that being said, there's many beings here who are part of the simulation. Mainly speaking, those who do not have DEA, deoxyetheric acid, and they refer to their construct and their anatomical system as DNA, which they're composed of, which is an artificial and a byproduct of DEA, where the melanated non-ether beings are composed of, knowing that we exist beyond this simulation, these illusions, all throughout the cosmos, right? Now, as of late, there are some beings that appear to us as melanated that are also a part of this simulation. all skin folk, ain't your kinfolk, right? And this simulation goes beyond just this third dimension that we see and we perceive of as this physical reality. Like it's known by some of us who astral travel, where we'll astral travel and we'll find ourselves pretty much right here in like a sub-dimension of what we see as this physical dimension, right? So that's what I referred to for so long as this hidden dimension where they walk amongst us and they they do things to our electromagnetic and bioelectric fields. This sub-dimension is also a part of this simulation. The simulation is composed of several sub-dimensions, right? And these sub-dimensions are what they use to move amongst us unseen, okay? And being able to operate in these sub-dimensions also gives them the advantage to perceive things, as some of us are beginning to do in the astral realm, but perceive things in an energetic and an etherical sense, whereas you see energy. And one example of that would be the color of someone's aura. Or if you astral travel, you might not see some people around you, but you automatically know who they are. That's an example of seeing things energetically and perceiving things based on someone's aura and their etherical signature. That's how they try to track some of us down, and they attack us with these energy weapons. They try to check our energy, but we begin to cause anomalies in this simulation. See, this simulation it's also a part of the magnetic field I spoke about in past videos. This magnetic field is what keeps us in quote-unquote light code lockdown and strengthens the illusions in this simulation to appeal to us as real. Like when you do shrooms, you elevate, and you do psychedelics and things like that, your etherical signature and your charge begins to skyrocket. And like I said before, when you get real high on shrooms and you go out in public, you realize a lot of people, they looking at you, they popping up. You know what I'm saying? That's not you being paranoid, that's really happening. And I'm gonna get into something else they're doing too. But this is really happening because these beings are trying to help regulate and control your rising frequency. Mainly doing so by using their low frequencies to combat and counteract your rising frequency. You see, many of the beings in this reality, they are well aware of this simulation. You know, it's like the chosen ones, it's a small few of us, yes, we are outnumbered, are aware that we weren't aware for so long that we were in a simulation and how things work here in an energetic sense. Whereas a lot of the malevolent beings amongst us were well aware of how this thing worked in a way that they used their knowledge against our mindfulness and oblivious state to help regulate the frequencies and keep this thing intact. But as we awaken and we grow energetically and our frequency rise, now we're able to play the game on an even field, whereas we are beginning to realize how our energy also affects, and we pretty much control this simulation. Like I was just saying, how this simulation was used for benevolent purposes in the beginning. You know, as some of you go out and you're able to clear the clouds, use your energy to, you know, move branches on trees and stuff. Those are small examples of how we alter this simulation. Just very minuscule and small examples of how we affect this simulation. As we grow in frequency, we'll find ourselves, some stronger than others, it's true, to be able to affect this reality in different ways. While I'm speaking about that, when you fast, that's something you do that helps your energy strengthen itself. Whereas you're not just abstaining from food, but you're abstaining from the illusion of hunger in this reality. And when you eat this what we perceive as food in this reality, you play the game in a lopsided way, whereas you're filling your vessel with pieces of this matrix, whereas you begin to become more of this matrix, and your energy plays a lesser effect. Now, to continue with what I'm getting at, because I'm getting to something, and I'm gonna get there in a second. So, now that we are beginning to awaken and become more aware and conscious of our powers and how we can affect this reality, we are changing things drastically, whereas they're having to work harder and do many things besides just using energy weapons and many things around us that we are aware of. I won't speak of because they like to, when I mention those towers, they usually get rid of my video, but the 10 minutes has surpassed. So this part won't be on TikTok anyway. Alright. So, they're having to work really hard, man. Like, really, really hard. You know, it's some areas on this grid of this simulation are stronger than others. Like, a lot of the spots that's real warm, like Miami, Houston, some spots on the West Coast. You know, and as you've seen, they were using super high grade military tech and planes and stuff to try to control the frequencies in those areas. That's what's going to happen all throughout this realm very, very soon. Very soon. And like they pretty much abandoned efforts in some of these areas in lieu of trying to stop other areas on the grid from skyrocketing as such. You see, when these areas raise to certain frequencies in this simulation, a lot of things that they do in these areas don't work anymore. Now, speak back to what I'm getting at, and to speak of things that they're doing to try to keep this reality in check. So you might go to your car and turn your key to the right to open the door, and you turn it to the left to lock it. You go to sleep that day, or you go in the store for a few hours. You come back out. Now you're having to turn your key right to unlock it and left to lock it. Or like I got a bike and I ride my bike a few miles every day on the weekend, and you know, I went in the gym and I turned my gears forward to shift them up, and I was crossing the street and I was turning my gears down to shift them down, and they were going up. Or you know, just small instances somewhat relative to the Mandela effect. So when these things occur, or you might turn the lock on the door vertical to lock it 1 second, and then the next second you come back, it's horizontally locked, and you got to turn it vertical to unlock it. When these things happen, you're not tripping, you're not going crazy. This is evident of how rapidly they're changing timelines to try and jump to realities that benefit what they're trying to do to the best extent of lower frequencies. What I'm saying is, you might be outside 1 second and the sky is blue and it's clear, and you just about blink your eyes or walk around the corner, and next thing you know, the sun's gone and it's cloudy as hell. That's them jumping the timeline. That's all it is. That's them jumping timelines to misconstrue things and this simulation to their advantage. Whereas they might create clouds, or they might need to change the weather, or they might just need to lower the frequencies. That's how bad it is right now. That's how much they having to do. That's how weak they are. They're literally having to change timelines several times, and what we perceive as a day, to keep things intact. because the lower frequencies, none of that shit working no more. None of that shit is working, man. And it's come to a point where they're going far and beyond try to keep things intact. Because like I said, a lot of these beings here are part of the simulation. So when this thing goes up in smoke, so do they. You know, and you speak of what hacked this simulation. Now I'm going to get to this part of it. So if this thing is a simulation that was malevolently hacked, then there had to be one being that hacked this simulation with all these illusions to build us as real, to make us get lost, forget our purposes and what we came here to do, right? Many refer to this ultimate simulator as Jesus. Some call it ultimate. Some calls. I'm gonna just call this being, this force, the simulator. Some refer to the simulator as Jesus. Some refer to the simulator as Yakub. Some, like we all know, this simulator has several different names. Now, with that being said, in one of the most popular texts as far as religions that the simulator created, and see, the way before I get into this, the way we're connected to the cosmos, and we are in touch with higher beings and our ancestors and things of that nature, they communicate with the simulator. Their God is the simulator, the malevolent simulator that hacked this reality. They praise the simulator, they worship their simulator, because their simulator created them. Like I said, as simulations a part of this, as byproducts a part of this simulation. And like I said, this simulation goes away, so do they. As you've noticed, the birth rates are dropping, and they're asking the original beings that exist beyond this simulation to help them create more byproducts of this simulation, whereas they might be mixed or biracial and have a greater chance of coexisting within this simulation with a greater component of what's originally the only original piece of this simulation. Now, with that being said, many of us know that one of our major downfalls was religion. So that was one of our major downfalls because we was exerting our power to their simulator, strengthening the simulator to work better and stronger in this simulation. That's why as we wake up and we abstain and we get away from this part of the simulation known as religions, the simulator weakens, and now they had to work harder on their simulator's behalf to help keep this illusion part of the simulation intact. Whereas we see things like the geoengineering and all the devices they put up to empower low frequencies to help the illusion part of this simulation sustain itself, and this magnetic field continue to work as a malevolent anomaly in this simulation. It's a lot, but many of you should follow and be able to stay with me, whereas where your consciousness has risen right now in this simulation, right? See the sun coming out as I'm talking about this knowledge, because my frequency is rising. Clearly evident of what I'm telling you, how this simulation works. As we awaken to our own natural power, the gods and goddesses we are, and we take our powers back from the hold on, give me a second. Oh shit. Some little kids stole a bike from in front of some people's house. They had them on their ring camera. Anyway, so as we awaken to our God and goddesses powers, we are beginning to work in our own rights, in our own birthright, and in our own power, and taking it back from the simulator. Whereas we're not jumping and going and jumping around. I don't know what I want to call it, but playing around these temples that harness our power as we exert our energy to the simulator. You see, like, just as much as we know of the Tartarian devices and the energy towers, that's all these churches are, with these steeples on top. As we were going to these places, exerting our energy, praising their simulator, giving their simulator our power to keep us trapped here and keep this magnetic field intact. These devices, I'm not going to call them churches, these devices was also simultaneously using our energy to exert it in the ether, after converting it in a malevolent way to empower this magnetic field. Now, with all that being said, remember, this is a simulation. We're taking back our power in many ways, from fasting to meditating to changing our diets. And when you change your diet and you go from vegan and you start getting more raw vegan and you begin to fast more, when you do that, you also realize you don't need as much food as you used to do. Another good thing to do that helps you fast is to strengthen your core. Because when your stomach becomes more muscle than fat, you see where I'm going with this? Muscles use water and fruit. Carbs from fruit. I'll make another video specifically about types of carbohydrates. But the carbohydrates in fruit mainly being composed of water, and our muscles using water is mainly the only thing we really need here. I mean, right now, until the ether, and as the ether continues to strengthen, we won't even need that. Speaking of the ether, something else I'll get into. This is a little lengthy video. All of this is worth it. Stay with me to the end. So, it's well known right now that there's a simulator in the sky that's converting our sun and entrapping our sun, in a sense, within these simulated parameters to try and distort this photon light that has already been filtered in its own right, like I've spoken about for a long time. Now, this simulator only works when the sun reaches a certain point, height, distance, and altitude relative to the ground that we stand on. What I'm saying is, when the sun rises and the sun sets, before it gets to that point in the sky, because the simulator, it can't move with the sun. The simulator is stationary. And the sun is only affected when it reaches the parameters of the simulator. So what I'm saying is, they refer to it in the evening as the golden hours, and they say these are the best hours of sun gaze. Or you may have seen videos in the rising when the sun is rising itself and elevating to where it sits in the sky. You see videos where it's orange, it's a perfect red circle, it's red-orange, it's more yellow than it is white once it gets all the way up there high in the sky. That's clear evidence. And that's your time and your chance to go out and sun gaze and meditate amongst the real sun before it enters the parameters of the simulator. Alright? The simulator only works when that sun reaches the parameters where this stationary simulator sits. Alright? That's it. That's all that shit is good for. And the this simulator itself was like some last minute sloppy ass shit they threw together. And then you gotta realize, right? If this sun has already been a filter that's beginning to erode, and if you've been keeping up with solar activity and you look at maps of coronal holes daily, they're trying to say it's not that many holes in the sun no more. Yeah, that's because when it reaches that simulated, you can kind of say that, but before it reaches that simulated, shit, it's wide open, man. So that simulator only works at a certain altitude because it's a stationary device, alright? So, man, with all this being said, take this information and use it to your advantage. What I mean is, now you know when to come out in sun gauge and get that photon energy, right? Now you're more aware of the simulation, how it works, and how things you're doing are more significant and play a bigger role in the entirety of things, right? So until next time, man, stay up, stay dangerous, stay focused, stay fearless, guard your frequency, adhere to your clairvoyant guidance and advisors. One love.